Hello and welcome to another episode of the Outdoor Gibbon podcast. I think this is episode 70. Wow, 70 episodes, there you go. Flying along with episodes, flying along with the year. We are well into August. The grouse season was a good 11-12 days ago. It actually means that is the official start of the game season. It only feels like yesterday that we were packing the shotguns up and that was the end of the game season. But 2025 seems to be flying along very quickly. Hopefully we can slow it down a bit. So the start of the grouse season was an interesting one. We decided to go for a walk on the 12th. Just myself and Tom down on the hill in Angus. Took the dogs out. Absolute fantastic day. Crystal clear. You could see for miles. Very warm. We had a gentle stroll through the heather. It was a massive fly hatch, so over the top of the heather was just absolutely tons of black flies. Didn't seem to bother us too much. The dogs were quite content. We wandered about, but I think because it was so hot, nothing really wanted to move, or it all moved off into cooler areas. We had a good walk all the way around the hill. Took in quite a bit. Didn't really see a lot. The black grouse got up in front of me a long way off and flew out. And we got back to the motors. It was more of a catch-up start of the season, if you know what I mean. Just sort of generally chatting out tactics for what we're going to do with the stags, walked up days and stuff like that. But it was very pleasant to be out. What was nice while I was out was I had a message come through. First of all, it scared the hell out of me because it was about shooting rates. And I looked at it and was like, oh no, what's going on? And it was the land to do with my syndicate. However, it was actually a pleasant surprise that I discovered that my landowner had a shooting rights on a small bit of grouse moor that I didn't even know about. So got to have a look at that a week later and discovered that we've actually got grouse, a beautiful bit of hillside, and not far from home as well. So another really good day, really. So where are we in the year now? We are, well, obviously we're into August. Stags are in play. We're getting ready to start getting guests out on the hill for those. I know some estates have already started. We've had lots of days of some estates have been out on the grouse already. You see photos on social media. It seems to be going quite well. It's just getting ready for it. I think my first batch of pheasants turn up on Saturday even. So we'll be very busy indeed. It's going to be a full-on year this year. Having a pheasant shoot, dealing with stags, roebuck's still in at the moment. So we'll see how we get on. For anybody that listened in Scotland that came to the Moy Game Fair, you'll all know that we had those absolutely horrendous winds about a week before, and then that was for the setup of Moy. We had lots of tree damage and things like that again up this part of the country. And unfortunately, the Moy Game Fair was cancelled, along with other shows. For example, our local farming show, Turf Show, was cancelled after one day as well due to high winds. The winds cleared off, and it's really strange, but all the trees look as though they've almost been burnt around us. They're losing leaves because we've had such dry weather, this horrendous wind that came in. It's almost like looking out and it's turned to autumn very quickly. I think all the farmers are struggling massively. Harvests are down because it's been so dry for the beginning of the year. I was in one of the barley sheds today, and I'm looking around going, they've cut 4 or 5 fields, but there doesn't look to be enough crop in here. And chatting with them, they were saying that the yields are really down and the crops aren't there, and they've almost died 3 weeks early. It's very unusual. Normally the grass margins get cut first, but to actually on one of the farms have the fields with all the crop in it cut and the grass margin still to be standing is something I've never seen in the 10 years of living in Scotland. So it's certainly going to be a rocky ride through the year for everybody. I don't know how the farmers are going to do because obviously grain prices will be all over the place, but we'll just have to ride it out and see. So in this recording, I have a great chat with Rachel Draper, who is the creator of the new social media app called Stile. It's still in its infancy, and we chat about the whole process and getting the app up and running. So hopefully you'll enjoy that chat. Anyway, let's get on and have a listen. The Outdoor Given podcast is proudly sponsored by the Shooting and Hunting Academy, an online training platform and UK registered learning provider that provides a host of accredited and nationally available courses and masterclasses delivered by leading industry experts. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Outdoor Given podcast. Tonight, I am joined by Rachel from Stile Country, the new social media platform. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
No problem at all. So you are the face of this new platform. Let's get a bit of background about who you are and sort of how this all came into being.
Yeah, of course. I will. I'll bore you with the really long story, but I'm sure you can cut bits out. But I grew up on a small holding in Warwickshire. So I was kind of introduced to farming, field sports really early on. My father is a livestock auctioneer, still is, still works in the market. And he introduced me to game shooting when I was sort of 5 or 6, really, out picking up with the useless Labrador and just on farm shoots. But it really introduced me to that sort of, countryside community. As I grew up, I took up clay shooting and really enjoyed it. And then when I reached, I think about 19, I started working for William Evans in London.
Okay.
And they sell guns and clothing, country clothing. Um, and then I spent the next sort of 10 years working in the sort of shooting industry, and have enjoyed pretty much all of it, really. I met my partner, my soon-to-be husband, who is a gunmaker. I met him through work,
Okay.
and we've sort of built our life around country pursuits and gun making, um, and we share a lot of it online, and that is kind of where Stile came about.
Okay.
Um, so we've always found that gun-related content doesn't necessarily go down so well on social media,
Yep.
as I'm sure a fair few of your listeners will have felt. Really anything field sports related and even farming, you sometimes get the trolling or you get the shadow banning or the sort of breaches of community guidelines. And we were just getting a bit fed up with it. And we thought that, the big players in the sort of social media space were never really going to listen to. It's quite a niche market when you're talking this sort of global social media platform.
I was gonna say, considering that many, obviously the creator of the metaverse, as whatever is what he is or was, into hunting. And that's the crazy side to it, isn't it? You've got this fantastic platform, these platforms that we thought were going to be free speech, you could get away with what you wanted on them, created by a guy that actually has a passion for the outdoors, and all of a sudden, yeah, anything that we want to do that sort of speaks about the real world is an unliked or is a taboo subject.
I think that's the problem with sort of the big social platforms is they've grown so big. They're such a big machine, aren't they? It doesn't really cater for almost individual interests. It's just community guidelines that stretch across the globe, and they don't take into account, UK firearms licensing or any of the kind of nuance around field sports. It's just if it's guns, it could potentially be bad.
But the crazy bit is you read the guidelines, and if you put up a picture of a gun or something like that, you're banned because it's drugs or something. And it's like, well, hang on a minute, how does this work? So they've tied that any picture of a firearm scope or anything like that is obviously you're a drug runner, and therefore we better ban you, kind of thing. And it's just like, yeah, wow, their AI just really doesn't. There's not a person sitting there going, click, I don't like that. There is just an algorithm that's running through that and going, yeah, it's a gun, must ban it.
That's it. That's 100% it. And I understand it because it's such a big, it's a big business, and they can't be a person sat there looking at every post, can they? Because it's so many posts going through. Um, but just as my partner has his own gun making company, we sort of found it really frustrating with him trying to advertise his work. And we just thought that there's got to be a better way because there's so many positives about social media. You know, meeting people who you wouldn't meet in day-to-day life because chances are if you live rurally you might not you might not see everyone people that live hours away. If you're in the deepest darkest depths of Scotland, you might not see that many people on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, no,
um,
absolutely. And social media is we were I was just literally talking to a friend of mine in Belgium, and that's
yeah,
how he's a hunter. He said, "Where exactly are you?" And I was like, "He wants to come and visit." I sent him the details, and he got it on the map, and he went, "That's 12 hours of driving. I think I might pass on that one at the moment." I'm like, "Exactly. I'm as far up in the northeast of Scotland as you can go."
that's it, exactly. And yeah, and you can meet people, online now. It opens so many doors, and people can make careers out of it, and there's so much good that can come from it. Educating people who would never have a chance to maybe see shooting or hunting in their day-to-day life, they can find out more about it online, can't they? So we thought that we want to keep a lot of that side of things, but social media in the bigger picture has gone on to this short form content, this addictive sort of um, just advertising beast, really, that just wants to take your attention, and it's not always in a positive way. And we just felt that we wanted to have a go at doing something a little bit different and really taking it back to the start of sort of Facebook and Instagram, when you just saw what your friends were doing, on last weekend and looking stupid in the pub. It was
It,
so much more wholesome, wasn't it? Rather
it
than,
was.
now we've got influencers and all sorts of things. And that's not a bad thing at all, but it's just I think it's almost outgrown us, and now we need to be really conscious of how we're consuming social media. And
Yeah.
Stile, we just wanted to create a place where people could meet each other digitally, learn a little bit, make new friends, and then put their phones down and go out and do their field sports activities, ideally with these new people, um, and kind of get the best of both worlds.
So that was something I was looking at, because obviously that's part of one of the features of Style is you were just saying about meeting people locally. You've got like a filter, so you can actually select how far away the people that obviously appear on your feed are. So just out of curiosity, I wound mine down to 5 miles. Well, there was nobody. Pushed it up to 50 miles. I almost need sort of the 600-mile mark if you can, so that I can actually get people. But it's one of those things. It's in its early infancy. When did you actually launch the app?
Yes, absolutely. So it's very new. So we launched at Christmas.
Okay.
So we're just hitting 6 months now, aren't we? We came up with the idea last sort of February, and
Okay.
then got talking to people in sort of March and had it built all of last summer really, and through the autumn, and then went live at Christmas. So yes, it's very early days. It's essentially an MVP. It's the most basic thing that we felt we could put out there. But we wanted to just get it out there and get some feedback because, you can spend years trying to create this perfect app, perfect product. If you're not getting people using it, what you might like might not actually be that relevant. So
Yeah. How are you finding the uptake? Obviously, I never got a chance to speak to you at the stalking show, but it was obviously you had a stand there, and it seemed as though you had, as I was running around the place trying to talk to people and see things, there was always people coming to the stand and interacting with you. So was that a positive experience?
absolutely, yes. My partner Ian and his gun making business. So he has exhibited at the Stalking Show last year as well, and he had a stand again. It's such a great event. We really think, we back it so much. Just really enjoyable, and the people you meet there are so well. Everyone's there for a real reason. They love what they do, don't they? And they're quite
Yes.
well informed, and some of the conversations are brilliant. We found that pretty much everyone has liked the idea. We've had some great feedback on how we can improve. There's always a few teething issues, definitely. People sort of signing up for the first time, it wasn't the smoothest process initially. So learning as we go. But I think pretty much everyone has said, oh, yeah, I kind of get that. You know, I think that's probably worth doing. So, yeah, hopefully it's got a
Okay.
lot of potential.
I was going to say, because that's one of the big questions. Obviously, we touched on the big platforms you've got out there, and they have the ability that everybody knows of them, and the interaction and the connection is massive. And it's people that log on to them aren't just there for, say, you've got a guy that's into his pheasant shooting. Well, they're not just logging onto Instagram to look at all the pheasant shooters, but they see the celebrity they like, and they see the car advert, or they see a bit of Clarkson's farm, and that all comes through. Obviously, Stile at the moment is in its infancy. How do you plan to get the people to sort of go, well, actually, I do want to use this app, but I'm not going to see I'm still going to probably end up using Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. To be honest, we don't really want to compete with either
Okay.
Instagram because they're so well known, so big. Um, and like you say, I think they do a lot of good because if you're posting on there, chances are the content will get to people that aren't involved in field sports, and that's still a really important thing to do. You know, spread that education, and sort of bang the drum to other people. What we want to do with Style is just if you want a break from the kind of constant advertising, the constant bombardment of what's on social platforms, you can sort of find more maybe organic content on there, or you can just have a place that's sort of free of the relentless adverts, free hopefully of the trolling. We've, a zero tolerance on trolling. And because as it grows, it may be a target for antis, but I think because pretty much everyone on there is pro field sports, there's no point in antis getting on there really because they're going to be, shot down pretty hard.
Yeah, no,
So
absolutely.
hopefully it will be much more of a sort of fair playing field in that sense. So yeah, we're not looking to compete. In terms of growing, we just want to keep having conversations with people really and sort of, promoting the values behind it, the motivation behind it, and hopefully as it grows, people start finding interesting content. And yeah, I think the problem is, I think a lot of people are used to if you get a lot of likes, it does, your self-esteem good, doesn't it?
It's
Sort
the
of,
dopamine hit, isn't it? Because
yeah,
that's the whole thing about it. The body, the brain has this wonderful thing. The more likes you get, that little bit of dopamine kicks out, and you get a bit of a buzz. And that's what social media is or anything's about. It's that gratification, and you're getting it because I put this picture up, and I got 20 likes, or I've got suddenly you go to the next level and it's 200, and the next level it's 2000, and it's just like, wow, you can't. And at that point it's the constant, I've got to put more up, more up, more up. But hopefully people won't use your platform for that sort of way of looking at it.
that's it exactly. Because yes, I think you're always chasing on the current platforms for that, as you say. Whereas on Skyle, you might only get 5 likes, but someone that comments might be a genuine person that you have a real connection with because it's kind of quality over quantity.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
is what we're aiming for.
Fantastic. So have you, obviously with this as a startup, are you trying to push it out, and have you spoken, or you may well have done, have you spoken to any of like the big organizations, BASC, the NGO and stuff like that to help drive it? Because obviously they've got, as I find, they've already got a fantastic database of all their members.
Yes, absolutely. So we've had a few conversations. We have had one or two little conversations with Basque. We've spoken to the British Deer Society, who've been really supportive. The stalking show. David and Deanne have been wonderfully supportive. They've sort of sent out a bit of promotional um, bits for Style, and yeah, we're having those initial conversations. I think everyone's very busy and you sort of have to prove yourself before people usually are willing to give you their valuable time, which is understandable. So at the moment, it's sort of, oh yeah, we'll take a look, and early days. Um, so we just need to keep pushing, I think.
But the membership, you can see the analytics, and your numbers are growing steadily, or is it, do you get the classic, like a nice big peak after the stalking show, loads of people join and then it drops off again and things like that?
Yeah, definitely peaks and troughs, but overall it's growing steadily.
Okay.
So we've hit just over 1,500 users. So difficult to say if that's good or not, really. It's going up steadily, as we say. So
As I say, that, to be honest, for something that's just launched, you've clicked over the 1,500 users. It's pretty good, to be honest, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's a positive sign that there's 1,500 people on there that have actually taken the time to join. And it's like anything. It's like listeners to the podcast. You look at the analytics and you think, "Ooh, is it growing?" But then people come and talk to you and say, "Oh, I listened to that, and I've told somebody else," and all of a sudden, that's all it means. You've got an audience.
that's it, exactly. And I think, again, it does go back to the sort of quality over quantity, because if there's a few people that really believe in what you're doing and really enjoy it, I think it's worth doing, isn't it? Even if it's not hundreds of thousands.
100%. I was going to say, when you said the thing that gets me is the British Deer Society. I feel their audience is sort of potentially it's an older generation. It's how you get that younger generation. And because at the end of the day, yes, there's lots of people, you can see it with Instagram, Facebook, and all the rest of it. There's different generations use different parts of it. So Facebook is now, everybody uses that, but that's the whole world's on Facebook. But then there's Instagram, there's the TikToks of this world, and so on and so forth. It's how you're going to market out to get that new generation of people on board.
Yeah, that is a tricky one, because sort of country life does impact lots of different generations, doesn't it?
It
There's
does.
so many different people in shooting and hunting. The younger generation tending to be a bit more tech savvy.
Yes.
But yeah, it is a tricky one. I think we just have to keep looking at different avenues, really. We're trying to work with people that have communities already, like the stalking show, like yourself to a certain extent. Anyone that has a following, you've kind of done the hard work already.
No,
So,
and that's the best way in some cases to
mm,
actually, if that's what this whole community is about, really. If we all share and support each other, we go forward as a one. The biggest problem I find, I think, at the moment, and I'm not sure whether you would agree, but there's still this. Well, we want to be number one at this, and we don't want to share that with anybody. And it's like, well, actually, guys, we're all doing the same thing, and that's what we should be doing.
that's it, exactly. And we are finding that the sort of people with potentially a smaller following, or who do it through passion rather than the really big companies, are much more receptive to working together.
Yeah.
Because I think they just see, you know, even if you're the new kid on the block, if you're doing it for the right reasons, exactly as you say, we can build together and it helps everyone. I think when you start kind of, closing in your audience and it's just, this is all mine, it's not really the point of promoting what we're trying to promote. So yeah, hopefully working with the right people is what it's
I,
all about, and
I think
giving back as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's the difficult part. As you say, the bigger companies are like, well, we've got our advertising budget, we've done all of this, we're here because we've spent money. And it's like, well, actually, guys, it doesn't cost you anything just to give somebody else a bit of a, hey, here you go, step up the ladder kind of thing. Here's a free bit of advertising on us. And I think that's the thing with this, with our community as it is. I think there's a slight breakdown in it. We have rifts within the shooting community, and I think that's the biggest problem. And we need, I think I've spoken about this on many different platforms and podcasts and things like that, about going forward as a one. And I think it was not last year, but the year before Stalking Show, the chairman, no, the CEO of the British Deer Society did a lovely chat with me about going forward together. It doesn't matter where you come from, we've all got to drive in the same direction. And I think that probably ties in beautifully for your platform. It's a way of linking everybody together.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because I think, especially in this industry, a lot of even if you look at a lot of the skills and the knowledge, and especially with a lot of people maybe not understanding the field sports industry, if we don't work as a team, we just allow, criticism to hit harder, I think. Whereas if we just put on a united front, we do better for everyone. And yeah, Stile is really it's about connecting people. I think one of the features we wanted to put on there was you can select what category you're interested in.
Yep.
Because the field sports and countryside kind of community is quite a big one, and someone who enjoys one part of it might not enjoy another part necessarily, or want to maybe see certain content. But it gives the user control over that, rather than us trying to ban certain things. So it's a place to connect everyone whilst giving people control on what they want to see and what they want to share.
Yeah, no, I have seen that you can, because the nature of field sports, it goes from everything, doesn't it? It does allow you to say, because there are, well, I know people that are involved that they're into their equine, but they still don't like the idea of the shooting and things like that. So it still allows them to connect with people from that area, but they don't have to see the deer stalker or the vermin control guy doing what he does. They know it happens, but they don't want it in their connection.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Exactly. It's being a united community, and sort of taking from it what you want.
Ideal. Okay. That's good. So what's the sort of the main push and the drive obviously now for Stile? How are you going to get yourself going forward?
Yeah, so that is the question. So, um, we are hoping to do some really big updates soon. So just making the app better. Introducing videos is a big thing because at the moment it is just photos. We've done that because we are self-funding it and the data costs can get a little bit scary. So we've sort of initially wanted to start with just photos to make it all manageable.
Okay.
But we do appreciate videos need to be on there, so that's coming soon. And then just a few extra little bits to help people sort of find what they want to find on the app. Um, we're potentially speaking to a few investors. If we could get some investment,
that was my next question for you. It's like you just said self-funding, and obviously anything like that, I know the feeling. It just, the cost can suddenly run away. So yeah, getting an investor on board, but everybody at the moment is sort of tightening the purse strings, and there's no budgets for anything, it seems.
That's it. And it's a tricky thing in that, we're not at sort of VC investment level at all. It's going to have to be an angel, and it's going to have to be someone that, loves the countryside and feels passionately about it. So we're looking for the right person, and that would change the kind of the short-term future. I think we'll get to where we need to be, but it would give us a lot of options pretty quickly if we could do that. But other than that, it's just sort of trying to do some projects with really cool people. We've got something in the pipeline with the Deercast. I know you've we've been on their podcast before, and we think they're great guys. So we've got sort of a little project lined up with them, and just doing some really cool stuff like that hopefully people enjoy the content we can then put out from it, and it grows us, our audience, and it grows their audience, and yeah, a win-win for everyone, hopefully.
Yeah, no, 100%, and I think that's the way forward. Obviously, getting investors and stuff like that, that's one of the questions. Are they going to then want advertising? Because we talked about other social media rams adverts down your throat. Obviously, the next thing you've got is if you suddenly take investors on, they're going to want to see either some sort of adverts or stuff like that. So suddenly you have to run ads through the app, and at that point, do you become more ad related just to get income?
Yeah, so we will have to monetize it at some point. the plan for it is to never do the sort of paid ad strategy, but to charge a small monthly fee for business pages. And
Okay.
business pages have additional features like analytics, and you can do posts that have a link so it can take you directly through to a website, product page, wherever you want to direct your audience. But we felt that a monthly subscription, not yet, once the apps, the audience is big enough
Yeah.
to sort of warrant that, would be the fairest way so that everyone is on sort of a fair playing field. Because with paid ads, a small business is never going to be able to compete with a large business that has this huge marketing budget that can just dominate the audience, basically. So we sort of felt that if it was a manageable amount for pretty much everyone, it would be a bit fairer, and hopefully they'll get value back, and then it sort of works for everyone.
The Outdoor Gibbon podcast is proudly sponsored by the Shooting and Hunting Academy. Through the Academy, shooters, hunters, and those involved in the use of firearms can gain an in-depth and unique level of training that enables them to shoot better, behave more effectively in the field, up their strike rates, as well as learning new skills. Crucially, those new to deer stalking, the Academy also offers the Proficient Deer Stalker Certificate Level 1, the PDS-1, a deer management certificate that is nationally recognised and accredited both by LANTRA and UK Rural Skills. Visit the Shooting and Hunting Academy to find out more. Let's get back to the show.
No, I agree. So no, that's very good. And it's not going to be one of those things that everybody feels, oh well, we've put an advert out, but we only get seen once a month or something like that, and they've got a big business that's there plowing money into it and literally dominating your feed, and to the point where you're like, I don't want to use that app. All I ever see is this or that. So yeah, okay, it's interesting. So obviously you were just talking about earlier on, we were talking about the social media issues with the shadow banning and things like that. How, because it seems to go across the entire internet, we talk about our activities being scrutinized. It doesn't matter where we are, and I think the UK were probably the worst for it, because you take Austria, Germany, you take Europe, hunting is still very much part of the lifestyle, whereas the UK, everything is very fluffy, and Disney's had a massive effect on us. How does Stile plan to sort of break that mold kind of thing?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing with Stile is we want people to be able to post whatever they want to post. Now, that does throw up issues because obviously it has to be legal, of course.
Yes.
We want it to be respectful to the quarry and moral, and that is, I suppose, to a certain extent individual. What one person would find acceptable, another person might not. I think again that comes down to the sort of the filtering system, and we do have a reporting system on there, and you can report posts that you don't like, and at the moment it is us monitoring it. As it grows, we'd have to bring more people in, but it is a tricky one because we want it to be free speech, a bit strong. I don't know if you can ever have sort of free speech, but we want people to be able to share I think the reality of hunting, farming, the reality of life. Really, everything dies, every animal will die. Mother Nature is pretty graphic and cruel.
Mother
Nature
Nature she's a pretty cruel person when it comes to it, and life is pretty harsh, especially farming, as you say, farming and the wildlife. It's not pretty, but I think we've conditioned, unfortunately, people are so well conditioned, even within the stalking community, or the hunting community as a general place. People still are conditioned about the graphics of things, and I think yes, stuff should be shown, but I think as we are ambassadors, everybody that posts on social media technically is an ambassador for the countryside. It needs to have some sort of regulation of itself. So is that something that Stile could sort of do, not training, but give people that sort of, if you're going to post a picture of something dead, try to post it like this rather than here's the sunny, and not the sunny side up, if you know what I mean, kind of picture.
Yeah, absolutely. It's finding that line, isn't it? Because I know there were some guidelines sent out about, you know, posting about field sports by one of the bigger players in the industry, and they were great guidelines, but it's difficult to tell someone not to show blood or not to, really show their quarry, and to kind of soon you end up just having a photo shoot of a walk in the woods, maybe hinting at a rifle and a deer, and you kind of missed the rawness of the hunt and the experience. The other end of the spectrum is, people showing, you know, not decent shots and all sorts of things that aren't respectful to the quarry. So, absolutely, I think what we're hoping to build is that Stile will be so community led because it will always be smaller than Instagram or any of the other platforms. It will be led by the people who feel really strongly about promoting the countryside, and they will hopefully self-regulate and manage. And actually, people that are posting stuff that is not, seen as respectful will be called out on it. Hopefully, in a respectful, educational way of, that's not right, tone it down, instead of this blanket ban. So what we're hoping is that people that have the kind of the best interest of the countryside will be the overarching voice of Stile.
No,
That's a little naive to think, but
well, it's a hope, I suppose, isn't it? Because I think back to how things started, and we had, before Facebook and all the rest of them, it was like the bulletin boards, and you'd log on to the stalking directory and stuff like that, and there was always 1,000 experts who'd put something up, and there was 1,000 comments. And I'm sure it was the same with the farming community, but most farmers never bothered going online. They just met people at the mart and had a chat about it. But it's one of those things that, yes, I hope there is, but also on the flip side of that, I know just how bad the community can be for being very, what's the word, negative about things. And hopefully your platform doesn't attract that side of the situation. We want everybody to have a constructive criticism is great, but the negativity side is never good.
yes, yeah, we can tear ourselves down, I think, can't we, with sort of infighting, and everyone's got an opinion. And I suppose that's social media. As you say, before we all had a soapbox to share our opinion, we just live and let live a bit more.
Yeah.
Or you could say it to someone's face, whereas now, it's a lot easier, isn't it, to criticize. I think that just has to be managed as we grow. I think that's probably the danger of growing quickly, is it could get out of hand. That we will just have to see where we go with it, I think.
Yeah, no, I really do hope that the can you see on your analytics what your male female ratio is? Because that's always an interesting topic at the end of the day to see, because you look on the other platforms and you get your scores back of what you're getting. So obviously, as a female driving this process forward, where do you sit? What is it, a nice 50-50 balance, or is there a definite swing?
Yeah, it is closer to 50-50 actually than I think you would think. And part of that is I'm a member of the Country Girls UK,
Yep.
and they've been very supportive, and possibly just through the people that I've kind of connected with personally and maybe brought on board. It does have a nice balance, and again, sort of slightly younger people as well as the it's quite a wide variety of users at the moment, which is lovely. And it brings different sort of approaches, different content, different views. So yeah, so far so good with that.
That's really good, because I think that's the critical part, is if it's all too much imbalance, it's very difficult. And I think females in field sports is a massive area that everybody keeps talking about. Yet I think a lot of females are scared to post on social media for the instant backlash, or the knockdown of some fella that shoots one deer a year, but he's an expert and tells them they're doing everything wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as you say, everyone has an opinion. I think a lot of time people are trying to help, aren't they? And actually they're not helping at all. They're just knocking people's confidence. I think it swings the other way and you get a lot of people, a lot of influencers who are potentially looking the part and posting to attract a certain audience that are not involved in the activities properly, or it's a little bit false as well. So you get a spectrum of different users. And yeah, no, we've had some really wonderful people join who are young women who actually they shoot really regularly. They're out every week. They know more than most guys probably, and could probably outshoot them as well. So it's wonderful to see different sort of ambassadors, as you say, people with different representations of, you know, what a game shot or a hunter looks like these days.
No, and I think that's really good. That's really positive. Just going back to that topic we were talking about, getting the younger generation in, it's really difficult because we've seen it up here with obviously shoots closing. You no longer get the young kids coming out for beating days around. So around me, there used to be at least three or four large commercial shoots. They've all gone. So you now have lost that community of actually bringing the kids out for a day. And I know it's happening in England where shoots are struggling and the farm shoots are still there, but they're not quite the same as the big commercial shoot where everybody can come in. How do we keep that younger generation interested rather than sitting there on the games console or social media? Because I think that was the whole thing for me. It was you're out in the countryside.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how I was introduced to it. It is that you go along with your dad or maybe your mum or your aunt, uncle, and probably especially as a woman as well, if you're not, it can be quite daunting, turning up at a playground or, I'm not very confident in stalking and going, having to arrange to go out with someone. It's really difficult, isn't it, to take that first step?
Yep.
Um, I don't think children spend as much time outside in general these days, do they? Because
No.
there weren't the options to sit at home when
Well,
we were younger.
they can be glued to a screen now, and they're like, I can be in the warm. I don't have to get wet. Walking, what's that? Exactly. I think as kids we never had that, and it was you would even mobile phones and technology. Now I'm showing my age. You used to phone up somebody on the landline, and you would arrange to meet them at somewhere tomorrow, and you'd turn up and wait there. And if they didn't turn up, you'd hang around for a bit longer, and then you'd go home. Whereas now it's the instant, where are you, what you're doing, how far away are you, can you put me on the map kind of thing. And I think that's the difference. It's trying to explain to them the countryside is fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, hopefully style can play a part in this, but I think the approach to just getting rid of social media isn't the right one because, as you say, the kids are on it and we need to use it positively to kind of bridge the gap between screen time and getting outside. I think all the young shots courses, at the playgrounds or anyone that can be actively involved in, um, taking their own children out, taking their, hopefully not random children out, but, their nieces and nephews, anyone,
Yes.
just getting anybody involved. There are open farms now, aren't there? Or there are, working farms that have days where schools can come and see what's going on. It's a huge issue, I think, the separation that sort of some children and even some adults have between where their food comes from. It comes from supermarket. Well, okay, but no, there's much more to that, but that's what they see. Um, so yeah, I think it's a systemic problem. Hopefully using social media well and thoughtfully can help to, if they can meet people on there, under parental guidance, but see some really fun looking activities and then hopefully arrange to go and do it and actually get out there. That
Do you
must be a
think
good starting
style,
point.
I was going to say, do you think style could be something that actually becomes more of a facilitator for this, because obviously the things you were talking about, getting people linking together and doing stuff like that, this platform potentially, as well as obviously showing all the pretty pictures of stuff we're doing and all the rest of it, could actually put people in contact with others and start to make those connections.
I would absolutely love it too. When we sat and sort of went around the concept of Stile and what we wanted it to be, I was talking about I'd love if we could have a hub on there, some kind of educational hub or portal where you can log in and there's videos, tutorials, lambing, live, all this sort of happens on Instagram. I know there are so many farming influencers that do live lambings and
Yeah.
all sorts of things. But I think if we could have a dedicated place for the countryside, it would be easier to manage. And you could connect schools, you could have schools using it for that sort of thing. There's so many options, so much potential with it, I think, further down the road. But I really, exactly as you say, I want it to be a social media app that facilitates real life experiences rather than an app that wants to keep you on the app.
Yes.
If that makes sense, you use it to get out there.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So it's kind of like you can plan your weekend and go, well, actually, I can go here, I can talk to this person, blah, 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 blah. Right, I can put the phone away now, go out, take a few photos of my day, come home, I'll share my experience, but I don't have to spend the entire day scrolling through random videos of somebody crashing a car and this and that and all the rest of it. And you're just like, what have I actually done? Oh, I've done nothing all day. I've just sat on the phone. Oh, my screen time's massively up. Oh, and I got 3 likes. Excellent. Happy days.
100%. That is completely it. Because I go on Instagram to look at someone's profile for just to find out some information. Before I know it, I'm looking at something that I don't even want to look at, but it captures your attention and it keeps coming up. And every time you go on there, it's another 10 minutes out of your day.
Well, it's like you click on the search and it's completely irrelevant things unless you're about to type something in to find somebody's profile. But it's sort of that one that, I'll see what that is. And that video leads you to the next reel or the next set of photos. And as you say, an hour's gone by, your cup of tea has gone cold, and all of a sudden it's like, I really should go do some work.
Exactly. Yes. So we want Style to be that middleman that gets you out there, gets you sharing, but doesn't take away from your time outside.
Fantastic. So how do you plan to, obviously, I don't know, we don't think we cover this. How do you plan to get the word out there? Obviously, you can't be at every show and you can't talk to every individual in the UK. So what's the next plan to drive you forward and get that membership to grow?
I mean, that is the big question. We've exhausted our budget, to be honest. It's taken quite a lot of money to build the app and maintain it. So we're trying to get creative. We are at the game fair, we're going to be talking to people there. I think we're talking to a few different people about sort of doing small promotional, projects, a little bit of paid advertising. We'd rather not put loads of money into kind of traditional marketing because it feels a bit forced. We want to just get to know people. Hopefully they sort of think we're all right people and are willing to back us. But I think it's just trying to widen our social network, our real life network, and work with people. And if we can support their little ventures or just do what we can, I think I need a little bit of help with the marketing.
So this is sort of the question I have to people, and I put in podcasts and ask people to do. It's one of those things. Just if I've said it about deer stalking. If every deer stalker in the UK took one person out, all of a sudden that's a huge number of people that actually get to experience deer stalking. And it's the same with the podcast. If you share this podcast or any of my podcasts with one person, that's another person listening. So maybe it's a drive to have that with your advertising, is to say to everybody, your 1,500 members, for example, now share this, because if somebody shares it and we see it starting to come up more on the normal socials, I know I've shared it and occasionally things get shared around, but it's one of those things. If you can get the people that have got the a few thousand members to say, go look at this app, maybe that's the way forward. And it's a bit more of a push on those guys, us, to do a bit more of a drive for you.
definitely. I mean, that would be amazing. I think another thing is really looking after the people that are already on there as well. And we're very keen to sort of take their feedback and improve it for the people that have signed up early. Because if if you signed up and you enjoy using it and you kind of can see the future of it, you're more likely to share it and to keep using it and to keep, pushing it around, because we can do sort of blanket marketing and receive, a few more sign-ups, but if it's not improving, it's not growing kind of from within, we don't want people to sign up and then never use it. That doesn't work for us. We want people to, be on there enjoying it and using it in their sort of day-to-day life, hopefully, or, every few weeks. But so yeah, looking after the kind of original supporters as well is a big thing. But yes, absolutely. Like you say, if everyone could just tell their friend that they go shooting with, have you tried this app? That would get us a long way.
So the next one is, will this expand? Do you have any plans to expand this outside of the UK? Because obviously, as we just touched on, the Scandinavian and the European hunting community is massive, and they really do, compared to British hunters, they have they have really good followings. Is there a way of getting this into Europe, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do actually have some users from Europe, particularly sort of gun makers from all over the world, really, that are signed up. We've got someone from Australia on there, which is pretty cool. Um, so yes, we'd love to expand, globally, really. I think it worries me a little bit because I don't know that much about different hunting cultures. And I would love to find out more. I should take the time to do a bit more research and to, to get to know different people. Um, but it is, I'm very sort of cautious of, I'm probably not the right ambassador for those markets or, those communities, because I feel like I hopefully promote British countryside well, because I really genuinely feel passionately about it, love
Yes.
it and
Yeah.
understand it and have grown up in it. So maybe, as you say, if we can find a few people out there that have a bit of a following but love what they do and represent different hunting traditions and cultures, that would be wonderful to for them to kind of take ownership of that area and and spread it through their communities. That'd be wonderful.
Oh well, I'm pretty sure. Go and listen to my back catalogue. We've trawled around Europe talking to people,
Mm.
and there are definitely people that I've spoken to that would probably, if it as it grows, will probably jump on board, because I think every hunter I speak to, or everybody involved in something to do with the countryside, even photographers, are getting shadow banned. I know a
Yeah.
wildlife photographer that literally gets shadow banned because if you put something up and it's the wrong color scheme or something like that, it's classified as nudity, and you're just like,
Oh.
it's a red squirrel. How can it be nudity? Oh well, it's matched the wrong color palette or something like that. And of course, all of a sudden, the squirrel gets a shadow ban for nudity things, and you're just like, this is madness, isn't it?
It is madness when the amount of stuff that gets through and gets shown to you, which is actually nudity, and I'm not, a prude or anything. You can post, that doesn't offend me, but the amount of stuff that actually is slightly inappropriate that gets shown to people.
100%, 100%, and the things that we do are the real world, or a farmer shows you an issue with a cow or a lamb or something like that, which actually is reality. Again, we go back to that chat that things get banned, but yeah, the stuff that does make it through, it's crazy, and nothing filters that out. And I think I've got 3 children, and it's trying to keep them safe on the internet is the hardest part.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got two young daughters they're only 3 and about 18 months at the moment. So I hope, that's a long time off, but it's scary to think about what they're going to be accessing. And yeah, I think at the moment, I'd rather they just don't have social media, but then they'd be missing out on so much, wouldn't they, as well? So
Yes.
it's that
I
balance
think
of,
I think the world's changed, and social media has a very big educational thing, as we spoke about, but it also has a very dark side. And it's easy from a few clicks, you can go from something that's completely innocent to something that's pretty gruesome. And I
Mm.
think if Stile can be there as that, everybody that's involved in it knows that the chances it's going to be 99%. Okay, you might see a dead animal, but
Mm.
it's 99% going to be safe. Then it is sort of the platform you want to push people towards and say, well, actually, I don't mind my daughter going through that because she's going to see horses. She's going to see things that I bring home anyway. She's going to see a pheasant or a deer. That's not a problem. She sees that on a daily basis, or a lamb or a calf or something of that nature. There's nothing in there that's really scary. But I don't want to see all the other gruesome stuff that you see on the other social platforms.
Yeah, that's it. And also the sort of comparison culture on the bigger mainstream platforms, and there may be some of that on Style, but I just can't see it in the same way. It's but we hid the likes on, or how many followers you have. You can see it on your own profile, but other people can't see it because it
I
doesn't
did
matter,
notice that. Yep. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, whereas when you're a young man as well, I'm sure, but particularly a young woman or teenage girl, it's all about kind of the validation you get from strangers through this app, and hopefully the style is a bit more, just real life. So yeah, it's a minefield, I think, isn't it?
Well, I take my hat off to you for actually being able to do something. So many people have talked about these apps, and actually, I was chatting about your app with my friend who is a photographer because he's completely fed up with everything that goes on with the work he does. He does a lot of model shots and things like that, but professionally, and yet he just spends most of his time dealing with shadow bans. He said bottoms and bums and things like that instantaneously get you a ban, and yet
Mm.
it's crazy. And he I've pointed him in the direction of Style and said, well, look, they've created this platform. So he's thinking, well, I might need to talk to them and actually see to them how they've done it so that I can create one for the photography world at the end of the day. So
Yes.
it's starting to, the cogs are rolling. You aren't a Mark Zuckerberg with an infinite pot of money at the end of the day, but he started off by doing this in his bedroom at university, and it grew arms and legs. So hopefully, potentially, we'll see in 20 years down the line, we might have this conversation again, and you live in some super mansion with some super yacht.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Yeah, I mean, just the same old cottage, but yeah, if we could grow a bit and actually, just people really enjoy it and make a little bit of money out of it, it needs to pay for itself one day.
I think
But
that's the key. As long as it goes forward and it keeps true to where you're trying to achieve, I think that's the most important part and all we can ask for.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's going to be a learning experience, and I think the biggest thing was we moaned about it for so long, and I just think if you want to moan about something, at least try and and change it. If we all kind of rely on someone else doing it, well, just be the change you want to see. That's very cheesy, isn't it? But
No, 100%. And I think I would take my hat off to you and say, yeah, I think everybody sits there and moans about it and moans that we're all banned. But yeah, you've actually taken the next step, put some hard-earned cash into it and produce something. So if anybody's listening to this, I hope they are, get on that app and sign up and support it. At the end of the day, let's move it forward, and hopefully, yeah, UK to start with, we'll have a fantastic platform, and then we can bring all our European hunting friends in, and we'll really grow this and get it out the park, kind of thing.
thank you, that'd be amazing. But also to everyone who uses it, if there's stuff you don't like about it or do tell us. Like we want that feedback. That's I think is a big difference in that it's just myself and Ian. We are here to listen. We want to grow it for people. So any feedback that people can give, don't moan about it to your friend. Do tell us so we can fix it, kind of
No,
thing.
and I think that's a really important one. I think far too many people just go, and it happens to every industry. They'll moan about it and they'll put it up on social media. Oh, I went on this and this was rubbish and all the rest of it. It's like, but did you actually tell the manufacturer or the owner?
Yeah,
Oh no. Well, it's like if you go and talk to them, they can generally rectify it or get the ball rolling and make it better.
definitely. Yeah, that's it. Let's give us a chance to fix it and then then moan about us afterwards. But
Fantastic.
no, that would be
Well,
great.
I think that we've pretty much covered everything. So, is there anything else that Style's about to do that you need to tell us about?
No, I think that is the main thing. As I said, we have got some exciting improvements coming soon, but they'll be over the next month or so. We will be at the game fair. Ian's got a stand in Gunmakers Row, so he's IS Sweetman Gun and Rifle Makers. So if you see him, I'll be there at some point as well. So come and say hello. Yeah.
And just the main game fair. You're not coming up to Scone, the Scottish game fair?
We're not, I'm afraid. I would love to, and we desperately want to get out a bit more, but with the girls as young as they are, we are just a little bit. We're trying to juggle, you know, you know how it is with three, and that's even tougher. So yeah, we're just a little bit tied to sort of local at the moment, but give it a couple of years, and we will hopefully be here, there, and everywhere.
Well, absolutely. You've got two free advertising agents in a couple of years' time.
That's it.
Cover them in t-shirts and send them around the place. Absolutely.
That's it,
Superb.
exactly.
Well, thank you very much for giving up an evening, especially when you've got youngsters as well. And yeah, look forward to seeing how Stile develops.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
No problem.
Really interesting chat about social media there. So hopefully this Stile app could kick off and get going. It'll only get going with your support. So if you're not a member of the app already, go and find it. Go log in, go sign up for it. I know they've been doing, since I recorded this podcast, they've actually been doing a load more to the app. So there's more stuff going on. So I think we recorded the podcast back in June. Well, we're 2 months down the line now, so hopefully there's been a bit more development in there. So yeah, go give them support. Anyway, we will catch you on the next one.